Okay, we've got this real-life scenario here. It says a car is traveling on a highway. The distance in miles from its destination at the time in hours is given by the following equation. D represents the distance. 380, that represents, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. And then negative 62, T. Okay, and it says, what's the practical meaning of the slope? So we're looking at the slope, negative 62T. Well, if T represents the time, D is the distance. So let's look at what the 380 is at first. The T, if T were 0, we'd plug that in, then the D would equal 380, okay? So 380 represents the distance if we don't even start yet. If time is 0, right before we start, we're 380 miles away from our destination. Now this 62 minus 62t, and t is the time in hours. So if it's 1 hour, then we'd subtract 62. If it's 2 hours, we'd go 2 times 62, which is 124. We'd subtract that. So basically that is our rate of travel. We're traveling at 62 miles per hour. So on this one, negative 62 is equal to our travel. That is 62 miles per hour. So every hour we get 62 miles closer to our destination. And that's basically what it's saying. If initially we were 380 miles away from our destination, negative 62, that every hour will put us 62 miles closer to our destination, because after 1 hour, then we'd have, 318 miles from our destination, so we're 62 miles closer. So that's the practical meaning of the slope. What if I asked you, what's the practical meaning of the, I'll just write PM for practical meaning of the y-intercept. If I could spell, it'd be great. Intercept. Now, on this particular one, the y-intercept is going to be this 380. So we've kind of talked about that one already. And that's if t were equal to 0. And if t were to equal to 0, that would be 380 minus 0. The distance would be 380. So the way that we'd write that one is, you could say at 0 hours, we are 380 miles from our destination. Now you could also say before we began we were 380 miles. At starting, we're 380 miles. Something along those lines will work just fine. It doesn't have to be exact wording, but something along those lines.